You're listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Enjoy the show. What is up, everyone? Paul Apostolakis, Tom Lauer. We are Inside Real Estate. Right? How you doing, Tommy?
Good, man.
Good.
Got
For
my
those
friend Tiroca here.
We got Tiroca Battle here from Real Team Real Estate. He is the Billboard winner. He is a top agent of last month, and he's consequently on a Billboard, and he's doing some really good things. So welcome to the show, Tiroca.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on it.
Absolutely. So let me get some incidentals out of the way. For those of you finding us for the first time, thank you for listening. For those of you that have come back, thank you for coming back. Please go to irepodcast.com. You can go to Facebook.com/IRE Podcast. You can go to YouTube. You can go to any podcast app that you're looking to listen to us on, and we'll be there. Or you can even find us on Amazon on your, what is that? The Alexa, and just tell her to play Inside Real Estate Podcast, and it'll work.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So we're all over the place. So today I wanted to talk about some of the headlines that we're seeing across the board. And, rates are at 7%, everybody. We are at
rates,
7%.
I mean, I saw a 0-point rate is actually at 7.5. I just locked someone in. I locked someone in at 6.99, and it was costing them 0.8 points.
So that,
great credit.
Great
20%
credit.
down.
So we're above 7%. Yeah.
We are above 7%, and we have a pretty thin margin here.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's
crazy.
Wild. Let's read some of these headlines, shall we?
Yeah.
We'll go through them. So I'm just going to read through the headlines and then give everyone a sense of like what it feels like to be in our market right now, Tiroca.
Okay.
All right. I think why the Fed's housing reset risks a global recession. These are from Housing Wired, most of them. Mortgage demand falters as rates inch past 7%. LOs, senior managers among the 300 cut in latest Caliber layoff.
300 cut at Caliber?
Yep.
Wow.
The housing market slowdown has only just begun, Fannie Mae. Mortgage rates might soar even higher. The housing market correction will be deep and ugly.
Wow, that's super negative.
That's a serious one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, look, I mean, not to be negative, I'm usually not a negative person on the market. I'm very high on real estate in general. I think real estate will perform well, even through tough times, recessions. Real estate, there's only so much land, it's scarcity. There's a lot of factors that go into why real estate is still a decent investment, even in bad markets, because I think it'll perform better than other asset classes, if that makes sense.
Sure.
But we're in trouble.
Well,
I think we're in trouble.
Yeah, let's put it in perspective, though.
Okay.
My perspective on this whole thing is, yes, the headlines are bad. Obviously, rates are high. It's going to hurt buyers. It's going to hurt home prices eventually, assuming that the buyers, the supply side really drops off. But I go back to 2007, 8, 9. I don't think we're going to see foreclosures like we did before. I don't think we're going to see like just the massive amount of short sales, foreclosures, people giving up their houses, because all the mortgages that are on houses now are pretty solid loans, pretty well underwritten, very standard Fannie Mae loans. I don't think we're going to see like the foreclosure crisis like we had.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to have a crisis.
No, we'll have a slowdown in real estate. But I guess what I'm saying is I don't see houses dropping 20, 30, 40% like they did back in 2009.
No. Tiroca, what do you think, man? I mean, how do you feel about it?
You're on the streets.
I'm kind of on the same page with you right now. I mean, rates are going to rise. People are going to drop out, because of the money that they thought they had at once before. However, I mean, it's not going to change the fact that people still need to find places to stay. There's still going to be inventory that needs to be found for people who are still looking in dire situations. I mean, real estate market fluctuates based on the seasons. Right now, school starts, people stop moving and everything, but people still have to make stuff happen come springtime and summertime, just kind of like the ebb and flow.
There's still a population of people that are going to have to buy houses.
Yeah,
no doubt.
I'm having a baby. I'm having twins. I thought I was only have one, right? I don't have room. I'm relocating.
Right. Humans need shelter, turns out.
Yeah, humans need shelter. So the market will continue to move forward.
Yes.
I just think it's going to look very, very different.
Well, and timing kind of sucks too. You know, we're going into, like you said, Ty, a seasonal slowdown.
Yeah.
Just like even if everything was great, we would be seeing a slowdown right now. You know, when kids go back to school, a lot of the buyers just kind of drop out, right?
Yeah.
So we're seeing that on top of the major, more macroeconomic stuff that's going on with interest rates and inflation and things like that. So might be a cold winter. What are you doing to prepare for a cold winter?
In terms of real estate,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just doubling down on everything that I normally do in a routine,
Which is what?
which is definitely, hitting the phones, being consistent with follow-ups, doing everything you can to bring in as much leads as possible, just to get prepared for that. Because with, like you said, the market, not an '08 crash, but rates are rising, people are falling out. You want to double down and take what people originally had. Like most agents may pop out, which means there's more opportunity for me. So if I can call more, double down on what I'm doing right now, that'll definitely help me out in the near future when it comes for the new season, where the spring market, where people start coming back out and doing their thing.
I love what
that's a winner's mindset right there.
I love what Tiroca just said, and I think that there's a reason why you're having success is because you're not reading these headlines. You said the word opportunity.
Yeah.
Like you look at it as an opportunity. And I think that's super interesting where, there is going to be opportunity. I think the ones that survive and do like there will be opportunity for winners to come out of this.
Yeah.
Because there are winners and losers in every market.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right. What did you do last month, Tiroca? What were your stats? What did you end up with?
I believe it was 1.37
Yeah.
million.
Yeah.
Wow.
Was that your biggest month at Real Team?
Definitely one of my biggest months for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's really awesome. So you just had one of your best months ever in a market that is really a lot of people are struggling in. So what did you do that set you apart? You think that allowed you to have such a good month in the face of so much adversity?
To be honest with you, I think it just comes back to what I did when I first started. I started back in late 2020, and I immediately came in and just started hitting the phones immediately.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, I treat everyone like how I would want to be treated when buying a house. And I think that the reputation of being a good agent and consistently putting people in the best scenario possible on a consistent basis with referrals and outside of that too, when I didn't have referrals in and I had people that I was calling on the phones that was helping me out, I think having those two together while my business was building is what really caused me to have the consistent months that I'm having right now.
Yeah.
Not to say that it's the, not closing 10 million, but I'm definitely doing enough to where I'm definitely proud of where I started and where I could have came at. Cause
how long have you been doing this now?
We're getting close to year 2, come November.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Okay. And then look, real estate's hard. So what do you think has like increased your success rate? Because your second year, you're doing pretty well for your second year.
Mm-hmm.
What actions specifically did you take to put yourself in a position to win?
More or less, just burnt the ships. I kind of treat discipline. I kind of took this, the mentality I had with sports into real estate, and it kind of kept it like, there's going to be times where you lose. There's going to be times where you're going to have to learn and put yourself in situations where you have no choice but to learn. Just consistency. I keep that next rep mentality. Things are going to happen the way they are, but you learn from it and you keep going and take that and apply it to the next thing. So along with that, just strict discipline and keeping a consistent routine and just sticking to that. Everyone at the Oak Park office, they're all great people. And I just kept coming in, felt like a sponge and just learned from what everyone else is doing and just applying it to my business and pretty much just doing that on a consistent basis.
Yeah. Let me comment on that because I've seen a trend inside of our company, and that is when we hire people that have been at higher levels in athletics, whether it's, hockey or baseball or football, whatever, like people that have gone to that next level that have been able to rise above their peers from say like high school. Yeah. There's just a different mindset. Like those people know what it takes to be successful, to stand out above their peers. Right.
Oh yeah.
So, like, do you equate real estate to football?
I do. I try to gamify it as much as possible because essentially you're competing, but you're not competing with the next, like when you and I aren't competing. Essentially, we are to be better with each other, competitive greatness, but you're competing with yourself, and that's your biggest enemy and your biggest downfall and success is being better than what you were yesterday. Can I get up and call on the phones today like I did yesterday? What can I do to be 1% better each day? Those type of things are the same exact thing that you put into sports too. That's
a lot of people. A lot of people that excel at sports do excel in our industry.
Yeah,
and I think it does carry over 100%. The skill set that you picked up working hard on your craft when it comes to sports, it doesn't deviate much. I believe this is a sport in its own
right.
You know what I mean? I think sales and being a commission driven or self-employed type driven employee on any level or any whatever you do, I mean, it takes a certain level of resilience and fortitude, and a lot of athletes have that. So that
I think it's for Ty for sure. It's discipline, discipline and grind, really.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. You're like one of the first ones in the office. Like, you can set your watch to when you're going to be on the phone. You're going to show up and do the right things all the time. What's leadership been like for you over at the Oak Park office?
Leadership's great. I mean, we've got a great CSO, Kevin DiVirgilio.
Just stop that.
And he's
stop that. No, I'm just kidding.
He's the one that I think that all of us and I look up to when it comes to where I want to be 3, 5, 7 years from now, and his accountability is second to none. I mean, he's and when it comes to you want to be somewhere and you tell him where you want it to be, he sticks to you on that. And I think that alone is what helps me stay consistent as well, because we all have our days. You're not going to wake up at 6 a.m. 100% of the time. But if you have somebody that's telling you, hey, like
pushing you,
what's going on? Good morning. How's it going? That gives you that extra push. And, that I think that's the other difference in between being where I was and I started is where I am now. It's just a consistent leadership over there.
Everybody needs a coach, man, no matter how good you are.
1,000%.
No matter how good you are. Michael Jordan had a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Tiger Woods has a coach.
Tom Brady's got a coach.
Right.
You know what I mean? They all got coaches, and they've got multiple coaches, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome, Tiroca. Well, kudos to you, man. Keep working hard. I mean, we'll talk some more about exactly what you're doing in this market, but I wanted to get to, so I've got some Jerome Powell quotes.
Okay.
I wanted to go through the Jerome Powell quotes and ask you guys what you think of them. This was from his Fed meeting that he just had.
Yeah.
So I think these are interesting quotes that he said, right? So first quote is, what I'm really saying is that we've had a time of red hot housing market all over the country, where famously houses were selling to first-time home buyers at 10% over the ask before even seeing the house. So that's one quote that he had. So he believes that first-time home buyers were overpaying for houses. I think that's what he's saying in that message.
Sure.
Right. I think he wants to see a balance, and I think he isn't seeing that. So he's gonna everything that he said in this meeting was like he's going to be aggressive on rates.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's look at his job. Right. His job as the Fed chair is to keep employment stable and keep prices stable. And part of the whole prices stable thing is he has to inflict pain, which I believe he said the word pain probably.
Pain.
He said it several times in that speech. And every time he said it, the market would drop again. So I think he's going to try to inflict pain on not only the stock market, but also on the housing market.
Yes.
And, inflation has been in houses for the past 5 years.
You think so?
100%.
How so?
Look at the run up in prices. Because when you looked at the standard whatever CPI number, those have stayed low.
Yeah.
But you look at the prices of houses that have gone up sometimes 20, 30% a year for 3 to 4 years. Well, that's inflation, man. It was just hiding in houses. So
we had a lot of inflation hiding in equity.
Correct. There's a lot of inflation hiding in equity. So I think given his mandate, he is going to try to tank the housing market and the stock market.
Let's see what else he has to say.
It's how you fix this.
Powell. So there was a big imbalance between supply and demand, and housing prices were going up at an unsustainably fast level. So the deceleration in housing prices that we're seeing should help bring sort of prices more closely in line with the rents and other housing market fundamentals, and that's a good thing. He wants to bring down the prices of homes. I mean, there's no way around that, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So next quote, Powell, for the longer term, what we need is supply and demand to get better aligned so that housing prices go up at a reasonable level, at a reasonable pace, and that people can afford houses again. And I think we probably in the housing market have to go through a correction to get back to that place. So he's calling for the correction.
Well, yeah, he's creating the correction.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about, in one sentence, he talks about we need to make houses affordable by bringing down the price. Well, that's great, but the biggest predictor of home affordability is interest rates.
Right.
You know, we went from 3% a year ago to 7.5% now.
A $500,000 house back then is now a $350,000 house.
As far as the monthly payment, you're saying?
Correct.
Yes, correct.
So Tiroca, just wrap your mind around that. Like a house at the beginning of the year, you could buy the same house for $500,000.
Yeah.
Today's payment at that would be $350,000.
Yeah.
So that's a huge drop in affordability.
Yeah, I just looked at a client that was looking at houses a year ago. Now they're back in the market, and basically, if they were looking around the $500,000 mark, they're still looking at the $500,000 mark. The payment has changed by $1,000 a month.
$1,000 a month,
correct?
Just in the last 6 months,
right? And we haven't seen what that's going to do yet, right? We haven't. No. This guy's still in the market. He's like, yeah, well, should have bought back then, but I didn't. So let's go see some houses.
Right. We haven't seen the long-term effects of all this yet.
Ty, have you seen any of your buyers you've been working with drop out?
I've had a couple people get discouraged.
Yeah.
And I kind of reel them back in. A couple of people I was working with originally were like every other buyer you talk to when the rates were down at 2.8. Oh, I'm waiting for the market to crash, waiting for the market to do this. But then, they got approved during that time and have approved for a lot. He had a buyer that was approved for 250 and, turned back around. Get approved again. Now they're approved at 200.
Right.
And that for them is like, oh, wow, why didn't I do this back then? So people are starting to get that reality check. Like, hey, I better jump in now and get what I can before it gets any higher.
Right.
Yeah. It might spur some people to like make a move. Next Powell quote, Powell, there are also longer run issues though, with the housing market. As you know, these are quotes, so it's kind of hard to read. As you know, it's difficult to find lots now close enough to cities and things like that. So builders are having a hard time getting zoning and lots and workers and materials and things like that. From a sort of business cycle standpoint, this difficult correction should put the housing market back into a better balance. Difficult correction. So he's just letting you know that this is going to hurt.
Yeah. He said pain so many times.
Yeah. Here we go, Powell. I think shelter inflation is going to remain high for some time. We're looking for it to come down, but it's not exactly clear when that will happen. It may take some time. So I think hope for the best, plan for the worst. So I think on shelter inflation, you just have to assume that it's going to remain pretty high for a while.
Yes.
So he's saying that the cost of homes aren't really going to get. I mean, he's saying he's doing all this to have a correction, but he's also at the same time saying that he doesn't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, he doesn't see the prices of rent and or mortgage payments going down anytime soon.
No.
Yeah. And
I see the prices of rent going up.
Yeah. I've seen some articles where it's starting to level off, but it's going to be a situation where renting and buying a house, now the payments are going to be close to similar, whereas before it made more sense to buy a house than pay rent. But now it's, from a monthly payment standpoint, it's going to get a little bit back to, well, renting's about the same as owning a house from a payment standpoint.
I don't know, man.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what's going on in the world. I'm like totally like I see what's happening. It's like a car crash coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I see what's happening, but I don't know how it's gonna where it's going. You know what I mean? I don't know how it's gonna end up. I don't know what it's gonna look like because I think we're in uncharted territory, right? We're gonna have a big population of people that just cannot move out of their house.
Yeah.
They will not move because they're at 3%.
Right.
They're not moving.
Yeah. I mean,
They're not moving to 7%.
Right.
I talked to so many, people are, dropping out of the purchase market because they're like, F that. I don't want to pay 7%. I'm in whatever it may be.
Look, if you already own a house and you're at a sub 4% rate, it's really, really tough to now. So there was in real estate, we have the move up buyers, we call, right? People that own a house now want to move up to the next, another bedroom or a bigger yard or nicer kitchen. That market's got to be just gone. The move up people. There's going to continue to be the first time buyers, though. There's going to continue to be relocation. There's still going to be a certain amount of the market that is moving. It's just the people that were trying to move up to get something better are just not, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's going to come down to if you really have to move is when you're going to move.
Right.
For that category of people. I mean, they can sit around. If they already have a house and they're comfortable, they can just wait around until that nice one comes, and maybe they find that unicorn and they bite the 7% interest rate until the rates drop.
Right.
But then again, that's still a situation where they're like,
that's a horrible financial move, though.
Yeah, it's just like
you're taking your biggest debt or your biggest asset, and you're moving that debt exposure from 3%
sure
to 7%,
sure,
just so you can have a nicer house where a lot of people are just,
I think a lot of people are gonna, I think a lot of homeowners that want to move that currently own a house are going to end up renting or doing land contracts, right? Because if you think about it, if I'm sitting at a 3% 30-year fixed, rent prices are going up, housing prices are going up. I mean, why wouldn't I land contract that out? As long as I got the DTI to move on to a new one, it might just make sense for me, instead of getting rid of this, to just go ahead and be a landlord, collect that extra cash flow
100%
to offset, the rise, the increase in payment that I'm going to have on this new mortgage.
A lot of people aren't going to let go of these mortgages.
Right. And the houses that are out there right now that, like, hey, anybody that's got an FHA or a VA loan, do you know what an assumable mortgage is?
Do you think people are going to start doing that? Yeah.
a little bit.
So, yeah. So let's say you bought a house last year at 3.25% on an FHA loan and you want to sell now.
Mm-hmm.
You can find a buyer, and as long as they qualify for that mortgage, they can take your mortgage over.
Right.
So now that house that you have an FHA loan on becomes a hell of a lot more valuable because that house comes with that 3% rate. Right. So I think we'll see a lot of that start happening again, where mortgages are assumable. I think we're going to see more land contracts. So things just change, right? When markets shift like this, things change. It doesn't just blow up and go away.
Right.
We just got to, plan for the future and understand like where find the opportunity again, because it's different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going, and I suggest, like, my suggestion, Tiroca, for guys like you, is get ahead of it. You know what I mean? Like, you got to get ahead of it. Like, but the question is, how do you get ahead of it? What does that look like? Right.
Well, I think he does the right things, right? So it from any real estate agent, it comes back to how many people can I talk to in a day? Yeah. That's never going to change.
Yep.
Right. Because what I'm looking for in the people I talk to, and the conversations might be a little bit different. Like, now maybe I'm finding a list out there that is people that are in FHA homes.
Yeah.
And now I'm calling them and having that conversation. Well, hey, sir, did you know your mortgage is assumable? Right. Or I'm talking to people and asking, I know you got a great rate, but would you be willing to maybe rent out the house or sell it on land contract? Right. Let me see what I could get in rent for your house right now. Maybe that will turn you into a mover. We just got to be more creative.
Creativity will be key. And I think we're going to see different products. We're going to see different strategies. Again, real estate will move forward as a means of investment. And I think people will buy and sell real estate, but it's going to look different.
Right.
It's going to look very different, Tiroca. You know what I mean? Like, land contracts will come into play. Like you said, a lot of people doing home equity lines, that'll come into play. Renting, they're not leaving or not letting go of their house or selling their house, renting it out as
Right.
opposed to selling it. Yes, I agree with that.
So do you remember early on this year, maybe January, February, we did the podcast and I did predict double-digit rates by the end of the year?
You keep saying double-digit rates, bro, but we see 10%. I'm going to poop myself.
Well, I mean, we've got another quarter left, and we're at 7.5.
It's not far off.
It's not far off. People thought I was crazy when I said that.
I mean, the speed of which the rates have actually increased is what's been alarming, in my opinion. It's like, I remember I sent out a thing to Real Team, and it was probably a month ago, and I was like 4.99 rates are at 4.99. Remember that? Like,
Yeah.
and I made a little thing on it. That was 2 months ago. And we saw a little dip in the market, and I thought, 5% back then sounded like it was high.
Right.
People will be licking their lips for 5% right now.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
I don't think real estate agents get as freaked out about rates as us mortgage guys, though.
Yeah. They're gonna feel it. Tiroca, I think you're gonna feel it. I think you're gonna. Usually, rates don't affect your side of the world as much, right? Rates.
But think about what Ty does. So Ty talks to somebody. Say he talks to a stranger on the phone.
Yeah.
Has a great conversation. Hey, are you pre-approved? No. Okay, cool. Let me get you over to my guy at Range Lending.
Yeah.
He'll get you pre-approved. Once he's got the pre-approval in his hand and it says a number, he doesn't care about the rate.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Nope.
Right? Really?
Yeah. And then on top of that too, I mean, the market, the rates is going to be good for investors. And I work with quite a few investors. I mean, they're licking chops waiting for things to start dropping in price and hopping on opportunities too. So
right.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of people with liquid assets on the sidelines that are going to take advantage of any type of downturn, because again, real estate long term is a good investment.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Long term, historically speaking, it is a good investment. And the reason I say that is I watched the real estate market crash and burn to the ground in a pile of ashes in 2008.
Yep.
And it came back roaring back, and it's now higher than it was in 2008.
So Ty, talk about your investment clients. Like what are those people looking for? Tell us, just give us a profile of like an investment client you're working with.
Well, I've got a couple of guys from the West Coast that they definitely key heavy in on the East Detroit market. As you know, Detroit is definitely, as much as the market's doing what it's doing right now, people are still putting money into Detroit and causing things to bump up. Well, they're buying a lot of, single family properties and going towards Section 8. We've got a couple of investors right now that are after fix and flips over in the area too. So they're keying down Woodward and down Mack Avenue and Courchevel and finding opportunities in those small districts. And they're buying those single families that are like 40, 50K, because then eventually 2 to 3, 4 years from now, they'll bump up to maybe $80 to $95,000, or maybe their rent will stay in value there. So, I mean,
yeah, what can you get for rent on a Section 8? Say I buy a $50,000 house in the area you're talking, make it look good enough for Section 8, bring it up to code. What am I getting for rent on that?
So the success that they've been having right now, I mean, Section 8 is allowing up to $1,400 in rent for,
wow.
So
wow, that's gone up.
To give you an example,
it used to be like 800,
right?
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To give you an example, we're over on a property over on East Detroit right now, 3-bed, 1-bathroom. They bought it for $45,000. Thought about the idea of putting it on the market just for rent, but we're like, well, why don't we just go Section 8 instead? Turned around and got a tenant in there for 2 years, paying $1,400 a month.
And the great thing about Section 8 is it comes
that cap rate.
Oh my God. Yeah, but Section 8 is great because you get paid regardless, right? It's coming straight from the government. You're getting paid.
Yeah, the saying goes, sometimes people think like you go Section 8, guaranteed pay, higher maintenance. But I mean, like you said, if you're getting paid, the money, you set your money aside for that type of thing. You're still sitting pretty.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's great. Would you say that's kind of your niche right now? Is that where you're focused?
Oh, that's actually the reason why I got into real estate. So yeah, I mean, the goal is I love any part of it. I want to submerge myself in all different aspects of the business, but eventually the plan is to be an investor myself and invest into things like that too myself. So working with investors is what I would say that I would prefer. I love working with investors.
So you played Division I football, D2 football at Wayne State, right?
Yeah.
And so did you live down Detroit?
I did.
Okay. So you know the area well.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Got it. Have you learned the area better now that you're a real estate guy?
Oh, 100%. A lot better now. I mean, if you're driving the streets a while, I mean, every so often you're going to see, driving down the same street after a couple of years, you say, hey, that just popped up there. What's going on right here?
Right.
Or the Metro Detroit News is always putting something up. Like the old train station, they're about to put in a new renovation there, and they're putting a $60 million park investment
right in front of it. Yeah.
So it's like, well, okay, all that's happening right there. Well, what's going to happen to these properties over here, or in Springwells, or like South Mexican Town? Those areas.
Mexican Town is another spot. Yeah.
So investors, you heard it here first. If you're looking to invest some dollars in Section 8 in Detroit, we might got a guy for you.
Yeah, man.
In all aspects.
Anybody out there that's looking to invest in Detroit, Tiroca knows his stuff. I mean, he comes from the city. He played in the city. He went to school in the city.
Right.
Like, the city's near and dear to your heart, obviously.
Definitely.
Yeah. And when I say the city, I'm talking about the only city that matters, which is Detroit.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, that's good. I feel like that's a big market for you.
Yeah.
How did you run across the clients that you have now, the investors that you have now?
It came from a couple of SOI and just calling. I called someone on the dialer. He says, hey, I'm not looking right now, but give me a couple of months. I'll be checking in. And it became a consistent nurture. And then after talking with him, found out that we had a mutual friend of a friend and met up for lunch. And then I met his buddy, and he wasn't ready, but his buddy was, and we kind of hit it off from there. And
now, as an agent, how does your job change when you're helping like an investment client like that versus say a first-time home buyer? Like, how is the job different?
Well, to keep it plain and simple, the investors really care about the numbers. So, you have to be really savvy on your numbers, really savvy about the area, what is to come. A lot of investors want to know, okay, this property is nice, but why? Why does this matter to me?
Right.
Is it going to help me 3 to 5? Versus working with a first-time home buyer, they really just want to make sure that they're not getting, screwed over, or the property is the right property for them in their situation. So it's more of like walking their hand through it.
Yeah, they're scared. They've got a higher level of anxiety for sure.
Like teaching them to ride a bike kind of thing. Not to say that people don't know what they're talking about, know what they're doing, but
they don't.
Because
they don't buy real estate every day, especially as a first-time home buyer.
Yeah. So, but the more reassurance you give that type of person, the more happier they feel, in the end, towards versus an investor. The more numbers you give them, the more why you give them, the better they feel about you as an investor-friendly realtor.
Right.
And Detroit can be tricky, just and you probably know this, but like just from a street to street, block to block.
Oh man,
it can be night and day different on your return on investment. Just the cost of the maintenance, the cost of the house, right? It's a very, very hyper local market.
Real estate can be very hyper local.
Even more so like in Detroit, in the area he's playing in.
My God, Detroit has so many little pockets that like you could turn a corner and you're like, oh my God, where am I?
Yeah, this is great.
And then turn another corner and be like, oh my God, I got to go get out of here.
Right.
Right.
So, and not a lot of people know that. Right. And I think that's where your niche is. That's why you're probably good at what you do, is that part. Right. So
he's got a good understanding of his backyard.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Which is awesome. Tiroca, what do you see for your clients? Like, what are you telling them now? How are you getting them ready for the fall, the winter, and time going forward? Are you preparing them any kind of way? Are you telling them, what are you advising them to do at this point?
Well, it all just depends on the scenario and
the
situation.
That's fair. Yeah, that's totally fair. Your investor clients, are you telling them to hold off right now, or are you telling them like this is a good time to buy?
I don't think I'll ever tell anyone to hold off, because what you're doing is, as predictions are going with what they're saying with the Feds, I mean, the rates are going to end up, inevitably rising. But holding off right now would still run you the risk of missing out on a great opportunity. So I'm telling people right now who are choosing to hold off from investor perspective, still keep looking and keep seeing what's out there, because you never know what's going to end up popping up during that time that you may say you're going to take a break for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. No, so
stay in the game.
I like that answer.
Stay in the game.
Yeah,
I like that answer. Stay in the game, because the game is moving. It is moving. Yeah, man. So, what position did you play, by the way?
Defensive tackle.
You were defensive tackle?
Yeah, defensive tackle.
That's
Surprisingly,
awesome.
That was about 30 pounds ago.
30 pounds. You were 30 pounds heavier?
Yeah. Well, paid 20 more pounds heavier. I was like 270.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I hear he's got some of the best hands in the game.
Yeah, a little something like that.
You got good hands?
Yeah.
What were you known for back in your day? Were you a big hitter? Were you just fat? Like, what was it?
It was just speed and hands.
And hands.
Yeah, definitely. Because I was playing defensive end my whole entire life, and then started getting recruited to play defensive tackle, and it turned into like, hey, we like you here. Why don't you go ahead and gain 20, 30 pounds? And it was like, so my only advantage I had while I was gaining that weight was my speed and my technique. So that's
Ryan Duffy says you look like a guard now.
I do. I look like a quarterback, man.
Oh man, look at Duffy's picture.
I know, right?
Like,
that's a typical real estate guy's picture.
That's not even real. That's like be a realtor. You ever see that guy on TikTok?
Yeah,
be a realtor. Have a douchey picture.
He's on the phone though. He's working.
He is working. He's
grounded.
That's awesome, Tiroca. Tiroca, we're gonna do 3 questions, man. These are random questions that we ask you.
Okay.
They I don't know what they're gonna be until the day of the show or the moment of the show, and then from there we'll get you introduced to the. Well, not introduced. I'll have you give your contact information, and then we'll get you going.
Okay.
All right. Tommy, do you have any questions?
I do.
All right.
I do. It's a football question.
All right.
Number 1 favorite football player ever.
Football player ever.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I just like watching football.
Got to pick one.
You got to pick one. I mean, that's not how the game works,
Yep.
Tiroca. You want me to explain the rules again?
Honestly, it's probably going to have to be Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald. All right. Why?
He's a monster.
He's a monster.
He started off like 260 playing at Penn State, and now kind of the same height as me, and ended up going to NFL. Now we know he's going to end up going into the Hall of Fame
for sure.
Yeah,
he's an animal.
Talk about hands, dude.
You talk about hands and speed. That's the guy. Just watch a little highlight tape of that guy there.
Got it.
So,
and he can just flat out run somebody over too.
Yeah, he's 280 with the 6-pack. It doesn't make any sense to me.
He's a specimen.
He's
a specimen.
Monsters, dude.
Yeah,
just monsters. The NFL guys are just monsters now.
Scary,
very scary. Speaking of which, I was going to ask you, Tiroca, what is your biggest fear in life?
My biggest fear. Oh, is this are you asking for like the deep question, or are we asking for just like a?
I think we go deep.
I think I want to go as deep as possible. Yeah.
I want to understand it.
I think not reaching my full potential, and I think that really just comes down to I do what I do because I have lots of younger siblings that look up to me. So if I don't succeed, then in my head, I don't think that they succeed as much as they could if I don't reach my full potential.
That's amazing. Man.
Wow, it's a great big why.
That's a great answer. Next question. If you were to be able to live in another human's body for a week, past or present, like if we like being John Malkovich, like you were in their head and like, right, like who would it be and why?
Man,
he wasn't ready for these
questions. I like these questions. Another human being.
Like you're in their skin, you live their life. Like you could be Donald Trump for a week. You could be.
I don't think. I'm guessing, but I don't think it'd be Donald Trump. I don't know if anybody wants to do that.
Oh man,
I would probably say Will Smith.
Will Smith,
yeah.
Slappy Slapperson.
Yeah,
that's my man.
Really?
Because I feel like I grew up watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
So I feel like just being Will Smith for one of those episodes was probably sweet.
For sure.
So during that time, you want the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, not the slapping.
I don't be slapping people on the stage. No, not that one.
Not that Will Smith.
He wants like 19, 20-year-old Will Smith.
Yeah, because today's Will Smith is a little bit of a wuss. Like his girl owns him.
Oh, come on. You don't.
His girl owns him.
Man, that
you want to talk
that
about?
Guy can do anything he wants.
He can do anything he wants, but I think he's lost it a little bit.
You think so?
I think Will Smith has lost it a little bit. I think he's
got to get back to rapping.
I don't even know.
I think his girl has ruined him. What's her name?
Jada
Pinkett. Yeah, I think Jada Pinkett has ruined him. Somehow they were in an open relationship, and it just kind of. I think it's just.
Wow, Paul's really up on pop culture.
No, I'm a big Will Smith fan.
You are.
Do you watch the Kardashians, Paul?
No, but I'm a big Will Smith fan, and I'm really like surprised and hurt by where he is today. I think he's got some serious issues mentally.
Yeah,
I think fame would do that for you. Fame and money.
Yeah,
you just lose touch. You lose touch with reality if you got $500 million in the bank and people love you because you're famous.
And you got TMZ on your back every
day. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, but bro, I mean, where's your head at to like get up and actually like slap someone on national television? But like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we got to talk. I mean,
I don't know if that was like
Was that?
legit or
Yeah, I'm still not
or,
convinced
like,
that was real.
I don't know.
You think it was fake?
Well, I mean, it was a real slap, but I don't know that it was. I mean, it was good for both of their careers.
Yeah, because I
Well,
mean,
yeah, he wrote
Chris
it
Rock,
at his stand-up comedy.
Exactly.
show, you
not
know.
Chris Rock. Yeah, Chris.
No, it's Chris Rock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Like he's selling out
Yeah.
everywhere. Everybody wants to see him, see what he's saying, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of funny. There's no bad press these days. It doesn't
No.
seem like everything's good. Sex tapes, slaps, whatever it is.
Yeah.
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 It all works out. So Ty, tell us, how do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, how can the audience
How do we get a hold
of
of you? And why should somebody call you? Why should someone work with Tiroca Battle?
Well, first off, you can get a hold of me from my number and my Twitter handle and Instagram handle, 248-882-5584. Sold by Battle on Facebook and Instagram. I would say work with me because, my best interest is always the ending outcome for your scenario. I don't look to do this for the check or the commission. I got into this for a good reason, and it was to be as knowledgeable as I can for real estate, for myself and for people around me. That's really the big reason. So give me a call, give me a holler, and we can make it happen.
What's it like being on a billboard? Has that changed your life?
Everybody's been getting on me about that.
Really?
I don't know.
What have you been getting out of you? Talk to me about that.
People keep saying celebrity and all that stuff. I'm like, man, this is just doing the most. But it's cool.
Yeah.
It's definitely cool because, how we met.
Yeah.
I was literally right around over here going to go get a smoothie from Fresh Vibes.
Right.
Yeah.
And you and Danny popped out and like, you want to be an agent, don't you? And I'm like, yeah. I do. let's make this happen. And to see that happened, it was more of like a.
How long ago was that?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
So now you're on a billboard. You're doing real estate. You've got investors working with you. What do you credit to your because that's a pretty quick start, right? Like you got it going pretty quickly. What do you credit to your success? I guess would you say?
I would say reading Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh,
I read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Change your life.
Me and a couple of teammates. My junior season in football, we were like, real estate this, real estate that. Let's just read this book together. Read that, and that like flip-flopped my way of thinking there. And so that I think to that book, and then my discipline and positive mental attitude that I got from sports.
Yeah,
and of course the parents. The parents got to keep you in line.
100%. Yeah, that.
Yeah, it sounds like being a role model to your siblings too.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
That's what drives you.
That's the that'll always be the never-ending fire under.
Because they look up to you.
Yes.
And are already following your footsteps. Didn't one of your siblings get an offer, go play football somewhere?
Yep. So I got one sibling, Mackay Battle. He's playing at Wheeling University. He's playing defensive line over there. And I got my little brother, little big brother. He's bigger than me.
Is he?
He's like 6'3", 290. So
wow.
But he's got offers to go play at Northwood and Wheeling, and he's doing his thing over there too. So
awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
and he, Ty works with other kids too. Shout out to little Rochester football. My son plays football there, and him and Kamani are on the same side of the ball. And man, it's fun to watch them play. Kamani's special.
Yeah, he's got some talent. But working with him, and he kind of already had the talent beforehand, but we just fine tuned it after that. But he's been taking off.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Both sides of the ball.
Yeah. I didn't think they're going to put him at tight end when I went over there because
he had a nice one-hander. I sent you that video.
Yeah, that was cool.
So I mean, you're a natural born leader too. Then
I would say more or less. I mean, I'm not the kind of guy that's going to stand up and be like, let's do this. You got to be like this. But it's more of like.
But yeah, when I say a leader, I mean you will selflessly give of your time to make other people better.
Yes. I would say it that way. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Awesome, man. Tiroca, I can't thank you enough for being on the show. Congratulations on all your success, man. Yeah. Congratulations on putting the work in. I believe that you're going to be here for a long time and you're going to do a lot of great things, man. So thank you for being a part of the team.
Going nowhere but up.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks for doing what you do, brother.
All right, guys. That's the end of the show. For those of you that have stuck around, thank you for listening. Please go to Facebook, irepodcast.com/IRE podcast. Or you can go to Apple Podcasts. Please leave us a review, like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you can. Love you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
You've been listening to Inside Real Estate, the nation's top real estate podcast. Don't forget to follow us at irepodcast.com and everywhere where podcasts are available.